Good afternoon. I'm Amy Cheney, and I'm here because we are all designing our courses for fall, and there is a glut of information out there about things to do that work well in online courses. So much of a glut, in fact, that it's probably helpful to sort of pare that down to some of the main things you need to know. So today we're going to talk about the top 5 tips for design and delivery of online courses. I'll also say that this video is informed by a survey that we recently did with students from the Wright College of Education. So a lot of the suggestions that you're going to see come directly from them. The first and most important thing is to keep the focus on learning goals and outcomes. Start there and then think backwards design to the assessments and activities and resources that are going to most closely align with those goals. Students were concerned in spring and summer that they ended up with what they thought was busy work because of lack of in-face class time. So want to make sure that we consider workload and the direct correlation to learning goals. It's also a great opportunity to allow students choice in the ways they demonstrate their learning, either on a weekly basis or on a larger project basis. And you can do that by using a common rubric directly tied to those instructional goals to make sure that whatever they produce demonstrates their learning. The second big tip is to communicate well and often. A large number of our students said that they felt like they were isolated in their earlier online courses. So we want to consider ways not only for us to communicate with them, but also for them to communicate with each other. Making a communications plan that includes the ways to talk with you, when to talk with you, when not to talk with you, is a good thing to give them at the outset so they know when and how you'll be available. And share that with them early on. Students are also very keen on weekly, at least, communication, either by email or video, to help keep them focused and keep them in line with what's happening. You also want to be extremely clear in assignment instructions, due dates, and expectations. This one sounds a little dull, but it doesn't have to be. Be predictable. Think about having a common flow for the weeks or modules of your course. Read, discuss, apply, for example, might happen in 1 week. This doesn't have to be boring. You can use a number of assessment strategies, of instructional strategies within that structure so that you can vary things up, but keep the general flow the same. Students have also asked that we maintain consistent days of the week for due dates so that they're not looking each week to see when things might be due. And also, of course, it's very important to provide timely feedback on student work. Not only does this let them know that their work is important to you, but it also helps them not feel isolated in their online work. Fourth, you want to encourage connection in any way that you can. If you're teaching a hybrid course, consider a flipped model where you're doing lecture or content delivery that they can view in their own time, and your time together is spent with discussion and interaction and community building. It's also a great idea to set students up in study groups or learning teams with whom they can talk and associate and do throughout the course of the semester. One great idea in your As You Learn course is to have a Q&A forum or Ask It Basket or whatever you want to call it that gives them a place for general questions and conversation. You also want to make sure that you are a consistent presence in asynchronous discussions. That doesn't mean that you reply to every single little thing that a student says, but to go in judiciously after they have had a chance to talk among themselves and ask questions that encourage them to dig deeper or extend the conversation. Students also let us know that they are very much fans of check-ins, informal, synchronous conversations where they can ask questions or just connect with one another. And you can even do this in a course that is asynchronous. You just can't require it of them, so be mindful of that. And fifth, probably most important at this time in history, is to be mindful. A pre-course survey to see what types of challenges they might face, be it access, be it a place to work. Many of our students indicated that they don't have a quiet place where they can go and concentrate and focus on their schoolwork. So maybe know up front what they're dealing with. As we think about diverse learners, we also want to think about multiple modes of content. So perhaps under a week you have a text that they can engage with, or you might also have a video so that students can get at the same content with different modalities. It's also really important for us to remember that our students may be spending a lot of time in Zoom. If they're undergraduates, they may have multiple courses in a day. In teacher education, our teachers are probably sitting in Zoom most of the day working with their own students. So make sure that your synchronous time counts, is not too frequent, and does not replace things that could be easily said in an email. Our students also ask repeatedly that we record our class sessions and make those available. Many of them have commitments if they're staying at home that they didn't have before, be they work or family, and things just get in the way. So it's very important that we record that content for those who cannot be there at the time that we deliver it. And of course, we want to make sure that we make all course content accessible to our learners. This is a quote from one of the students from the survey that I thought really summed up what they want and need from us, and that is to be organized and understanding, kind, mindful, flexible. They have lots of classes. Just because they're home doesn't mean they have the capacity or the time or mental energy to do more. They're working in the same way we are on their health and their priorities, and that can be difficult for those who are not used to working online. And this particular student asked us to remember that for many of them, this online learning is not what they signed up for. If you need help in planning your class, please feel free to be in touch. I hope these suggestions were helpful to you.